Welcome back to FyneEdgeEDC. I'm your host, Garrett Fyne. Today's video is going to ruffle some feathers, but it has to be said. Let's dive into these unboxings and talk more about some specs. First up is the Kizer Task. Looking at the blade itself, has some green G10 with some really cool texture on here, similar to a golf ball, something that I haven't seen on any blade before. This is a 3-inch Wharncliffe blade of 154 cm. The locking mechanism is Kizer's clutch lock. It's their rendition of Benchmade's axis lock now that the patent has run out. Checking out the action, this thing is butter. Just look at the way that falls back in as soon as I disengage the lock. No wrist movement necessary. Full liner is the length of the handle. Happy to see that. Deep carry pocket clip with recessed screws. Very good retention. Happy with this pickup. Next up is the Hogue Deca. I picked this one up from Blade City over on Whatnot. If you'd like to get one for yourself, make sure to check them out. In the box, you get a nice little carrying pouch. And the blade itself, the Hogue Deca. The injection molded handles on this is extremely light. We'll talk more about it later, but to reduce that weight even further, they took out a lot of the liners in here. So this is the Hogue Deca in CPM MagnaCut. As you can see, this is Hogue's rendition of the axis lock. Straight out of the box, not nearly as smooth as the Kizer. Definitely have to give it a wrist flick to get that blade to fall. For the price point, not very happy to see that. When the Kizer that we just unboxed has a glassy action like that, and a knife nearly 4 times the cost, come on. Maybe it just needs a break-in period, so I'm gonna circle back around when I get more experience with this. Although they did minimize the liners for weight reduction, this does still have a pretty good balance point. You can feel it's more tip heavy than regular blades. So if that's going to bother you, you might have to pass this one up. So even though this handle fills the hand, it doesn't feel very substantial. These very thin injection molded scales with no liner behind them just doesn't inspire confidence. So for an expensive blade like this with MagnaCut steel, you want it to be able to hold up to some pretty hard work. Personally, I think the Kizer Task is more up to it. Based off first impressions, I think I would have to choose the Kizer Task for hard use. Having the liners the full length of the handle makes a huge difference, and it makes it feel much more substantial. Lastly, the Benchmade Bugout, a knife that the community hates to love and loves to hate. Can't tell you how many times this has been talked about as everyone's necessary EDC, but as you can tell by my tone, I don't agree. So here's the Benchmade Bugout in CPM S30V. It's a steel I have a lot of experience with, and it definitely contends with some of the best. Similar to the Deka, this is injection molded scales with minimal liner. Have some nice anodized accents on this one. For the price point, I would hope. One thing I do love about this knife is the pocket clip. This super deep carry minimal pocket clip is awesome. Now I'm sure this one needs a bit of a break-in period as well, but straight out of the box, the action is similar to the Deka. The blade does not free fall. It does have a very nice drop point design as opposed to the Wharncliffes on these two. Your drop point is going to be much more versatile in a wide range of cutting tasks. These two here with the Wharncliffe are going to be a lot more geared towards utility cuts. Of course, the Benchmade axis lock is a staple of the industry, and they do it better than anybody else. So doing a little roundtable comparison, let's start with price. The Kizer Task comes in at $70, the base model of your Hogue Deca comes in at $140, and the base model of your full-size Bugout comes in at $180. If I were a non-knife person and you were to hand me these two blades, I don't think I would be able to tell the difference, to be honest with you. And I'm definitely taking MagnaCut over S30V. So for a cheaper price point and a extremely similar silhouette, I would definitely go with the Deka. Now, do I hate Benchmade? Of course not. The 940 is one of my favorite silhouettes of all time, and I carry it constantly. So what do I have against the Bugout? First, it doesn't feel like a Benchmade. Normally when you pick up a Benchmade, it is substantial and beefy, and you feel like you can trust your life with it. For the price point, that's always what it has been. Now I understand they're trying to cater to an audience that wants a lightweight blade. But look at the flex on this handle, come on! You need minimum a skeletonized liner. Some people may disagree with me, but I personally don't want to have a handle with flex like this. Blade play is pretty solid up and down, but left and right, it's got some wiggle. I'd attribute that to not having liners in here. So do I think the Bugout is a bad knife? Not really. Do I think it's overpriced? Yeah. Because with the Kizer Task here, nipping at the heels of the Benchmade for over $100 less, I'm going to have to recommend the Kizer Task. You have full liners, same lock, steels are negligibly different. 154 cm isn't quite S30V, but it's still going to be a great steel for almost everybody. And overall, this thing just feels more substantial, and your dollar is going to go a lot further. Long-term reviews for all of these is going to be popping up in the near future. I'll definitely be expanding more on the topic of these, so subscribe and stay tuned for those. Thanks for tuning in to FyneEdgeEDC. If you like anything you saw here in the video today, you can check the links down in the description. We'll see you next time.